That's right, Monster. Game number one, Vorteca and Paco, they fall just a little bit short. And in a sense, you would think that, yeah, it feels good knowing you've got essentially the setup to maintain that upper bracket position for day two. But at the same time, Monster, we all know these players would rather just get their win and be in.
Yeah, I agree with you. You want to get the dub. You want to lock this away. You want to start gearing up for grand finals, claiming your drop spot nice and early. But still, grand finals a week away. For some, just 3 games away potentially, so we'll see. Really look at Noah plays right now with his teammate Liam here. A very contested Nitro Dome. This is by no means a fun drop to be a part of when you're the team in the middle of this sandwich right now. On the side, it's Chubbs there. One of those fresh duos. I'm not sure what Liam and Noah's strategy is going to be here. It's almost like a pick your poison type situation. They're going to be rotating likely closer and closer to Skittles and Chubbs. Little did they know, though, Chubbs and Skittles already looted this drop here, so they'll have to pick up the signs here shortly. On the other side, fights happening right now for Mixin as they go back to the old trusty drop. We mentioned this in the first game, and they've come back to test Quanti. And you know what? They had success against Quanti before. Let's remember, back to the second qualifier. I do believe they were on the upper side of the overall results. But nonetheless, they're here. It's a toe-to-toe, and look at that. Mixin and company come up on top.
You know what it is? Here at Research Rock, Mixin Blaha, they drop to the opposite end of the southern side of the map over towards Reclaim Villa. I almost feel like they did that just to give Quanti and Yapko a false sense of security at this point. Or maybe they just felt as though the situation, trying to make a play for that forecast tower and whatnot, just didn't necessarily work well enough for them to feel comfortable with. You know, you don't want to slam your head against the wall and not get any results. And when you're looking at a situation where Victory Royale is everything,
I wouldn't suggest anyone slam your head against the wall for any reason. Okay. It's just not a good idea. No, but all jokes aside, I do agree with you. You know, trying their hand at a different drop, yeah, clearly wasn't the best, and they're coming back to the old trusty.
And hey, if it works, it works. Now it's all about trying to translate that initial hot drop into, again, a late game performance that could essentially net them the Victory Royale that they're hoping for, so they can secure their position on the battle bus for that grand finals taking place next week here. But we are looking at a little bit of a different situation in general, MDF, just because it is only 5 matches that are going to be played here today. I think some players can sometimes be a little bit more conditioned towards that 6-game format, for example, but not going to be the case here for upper bracket day 1.
Yeah, and the thing about a 5-game format is, I mean, every individual game just has that much more weight, right? It's more significant to the overall standings. Take a look here as Baka and Pars in a standoff outside the Grim Gate. This is up against Bucky and Okis, and you can see that they come out on top, and that was an instant elimination, so a quick 2-piece finish for both of the players there. End up supporting Baka and Pars' mission to the top here after they also had an excellent showing in the last game. They were making an end game. Right before the event actually began today, I was a little braggadocious about Baka and Pars, just saying, hey man, I need to see them up at the top again. They're a fun team to root for, even better team to watch play well. But here we have Hound. I find it pretty incredible that Hound in Qualifier 2 was up towards the top 10 and actually ended up losing his duo mate. So now we're just watching what could be of this potential team here. So far, the points are a little dismal in this early game. Not looking great by any means.
Yeah, Scented. He is a fan, clearly, of Bucky as well. I mean, you have to consider team agent. You know, you're both repping the same aura. You're bound to build a little bit of camaraderie there for sure. But Scented is going to be Hound's duo for this day 1 of uppers. And yeah, like you talked about, MDF, for Hound to have already been solidified in that top 10 initially series points wise, and then to last minute go for this exchange and now be working with Scented and they're in a drop spot position that can be really relatively difficult to play from. Just considering that they're looking to be so far north of the map, essentially. But again, I think that a part of it as well can just be the fact that when you know that there's so much action taking place just east of the Nitrodrome, it's just really difficult because there's like 3 separate teams that are essentially kind of surrounding Scented and Hound from their initial drop, just a little bit outside of the, like, it's in between Little Villa and Nitrodrome. So it is just, I think, difficult to actually loot up safely like you would kind of want to do, and then your mid game just gets all the more problematic because teams are already building these surge bases around those slurp cactuses. So what are you really left with?
That is right. Resources start to run thin, but we have a little bit of action unfolding here, Taco. We have Victor and Paper. We saw what they were cooking with in the last end game. If they can make it that far, clearly they're a threat to be reckoned with, but they don't find what they're looking for. Possibly just a couple tags and a fake out, and off they go. Meanwhile, Kai and Vert now left to pick up the pieces here. They'll have to refarm what they lost in this battle. Another team lurking nearby. Let's see if the shots open up here. Kai and Vert completely exposed right now. Oh, it's Paper. They just hit the old loop-de-loop all the way around the corner, and they're going to be back on the prowl here, if you will. Paper still giving his attention up towards the high ground of Vert. Kai's going to crash pad out of there. And now they lose what little bit of an advantage they had from the surprise attack. But on the other side, Oliver OG playing the low ground right now. Based up, boxed up. Craze getting pushed in by Chris. Noxy on the other side here.
Oliver trying to see if he can get behind Noxy. He's now currently above everyone else, but at the same time, is it really able to alleviate that much pressure from Craze? Craze doing what he can to try and slip away from Noxy, but this is a good hold from Oliver, making sure that Chris can't follow up on the pressure that Noxy was trying to apply onto Craze's walls, just because Oliver had that slight height leverage. And it looks as though it could potentially be a full disengage, but no. Noxy gonna eat a couple of tags in the process here, but Oliver, OG, Craze, they do an excellent job at kind of just fending for themselves, holding down their position, and they're even feeling confident enough to give chase to this. It seems as though they're willing to just stake everything on finding this early surge damage onto Noxy and Chris, or even better still, MDF, those eliminations, refreshing their materials.
Yeah, I think we're seeing just the confidence come out because they felt like they were by far the better duo, and you can see they've began to exhaust the material count out of Noxy and Chris as they've already swapped down to their light builds there. So a lot of resources invested here. Finally now they push back, not looking to jump into the bush by any means. That's a risk all around and not one that they're willing to take. And look at this, Noxy still has resources to work with, so they're not too worried about it. They'll be able to jump back, but talking about a team that's been jumping into the action, quite literally, Muzz and Epic Whale have shown us what they're capable of. We could be seeing the early happenings, chance happenings, if you will, of an amazing duo to be a team that is so storied here. The legacy that exists amongst Muzz and Epic Whale is what to be in awe of. Love to see it continue to perform. Muzz showing us what he's capable of, jumps in, takes the side wall, but unfortunately the pressure answers back. But Epic Whale finding way more success on his side. Look at the HP count on Raze here. He put a lot of damage in onto Curly and Raze there. Curly has to jump back up his teammate right now.
That was a really strong pump shot, though, from Curly. That pressure that he put onto Muzz, forcing him to disengage temporarily. That's what really provided Raze a slight opportunity to get that white HP a little bit more online than where he was last seen at, but it's still right there with you, Monster. This is not the health disparity that you would want to take place as far as a box fight is concerned, especially when dealing with the likes of Epic and Muzz. If it's a war of attrition, it seems as though Epic and Muzz are definitely looking a lot more like they're going to come out on top for it.
Yeah, you can see Epic Whale just trying to mess around, playing brain games, backing up, acting like he's going to come in from a new angle, swinging back around, taking little by little territory away from Curly and Raze. And when their guards are let down, Epic claps back again. Curly hurt. Caught healing there, and that's a mistake you don't make. You don't walk into the enemy's line of fire with your heals out. And Epic Whale absolutely punishes Curly for the move there. Should be all the seconds. There it is. Or Muzz picks up the elimination. This is attracting attention nearby, but no one looking to leave their draw spots here and get into the heart of the reels. So overall, Epic Whale and Muzz come up on 2 eliminations. Plenty of tags, by the way, and a lot of material to jump back into it. And look at that. Not only that, they have the zone, right? So they don't even have to leave this monstrous base that they've invested into. So all around, perfect fight. Great scenario for them, and this should be a good endgame.
Yeah, and it's no surprise, really. As soon as that shield crack came through, you knew they were going to key instantaneously after the fact, and unfortunate stuff there for Raze. But at the same time, Epic Whale and Muzz, yeah, definitely netting a lot of the profit here, but Mixon and Blaha, we'll have to check back in with them later. Walker's Mason getting a little active here now. It's over the weapons bunker yet again. Walker's just trying to slam immediately into the box, and it's gonna be to their advantage. Needed that to make sure that he could get the revive off onto Mason. So again, team certainly locking down their surge damage that they definitely will be needing later on.
Peterbot and Pollo on the move right now, also looking to make their way towards the cactus here. A lot of health to make up for. So we're going to be based up around this area for quite some time. Not too sure about where they're in the standing right now for overall damage, given how south they are on the map right now, but Peterbot does have an elimination, so take that into account. On the other side, Oliver OG and Craze have not based down since the last time we tuned in with them. They continue to be on foot here, giving trouble to duo after duo. Anyone that seems to jump into their path is in for a fight.
But that's the pure disengage. Fullberry Fizz into the Flaming Boost Tube, and they are clear out of there from Grand Glacier. I think that Crazy and Oliver OG kind of just recognize the fact that maybe if they move a little bit closer towards this Rift Island spawn, they'll be able to try and net a little bit more surge damage, but also just look for very needed material refresh that Rift Island can provide, as well as just that quick rotation capability as well, if you're able to utilize the launch pad there, or even the rift surrounding that island. So definitely looking forward to seeing what they're able to cook up from that last position. Trashy and Threats, on the other hand, still stuck a little bit here at the Nitrodrome. Several other teams relatively local to their position, but Chubbs and Skittles, they don't seem like they want to stick around for that much longer. And they know they can just catch Slurp Cactuses on the rotate out. They're trying to move a little bit more south as well. It seems as though they want to just try and maybe hang out in the storm slightly longer. They know that they can because of the Slurp Cactuses too.
It's definitely impressive how, you know, mapped out they have this rotation here. Vert and Kai with a little bit of a position over Victor and Paper underneath, but Paper and Victor already played their hands a bit ago. So they have the damage, and we know very likely shouldn't need to do anything too drastic here, but Vert and Kai aren't feeling it. They want to move away and get onto the team that they tag. Little bit in know it is a Pollo and Peterbot here. They recognize that there's some wood walls on the base down low. They put some damage in, so this could be a team that's a bit hurt. But no, Kai gets hurt. He gets tagged, and I think they realize here, wait a second, this team might be the real deal. Let's give ourselves some space, and it is going to be the right call. Little do they know, it could have all been likely wrapped up if they made an error there.
And just look at the way that Peterbot and Pollo have based around this Flaming Boost Tube. They are essentially bottlenecking everyone that's trying to depend on this form of mobility. And that's part of the reason why I think we see them sitting at nearly 1,200 above the damage threshold, because teams, they want to make those rotates and they want to make them fast, Monster, but what can you really do when you've got a team as experienced as Peterbot and Pollo, and so mechanically strong as well, just camping out the best form of rotational capability nearby?
Look at this, Tayson runs up on Zooks there, catching him off guard as they're moving through. Only 81 above, so yeah, this is a tight spot to be in. If you've ever found yourself in a position where the surge is this close, you are recognizing here now that you absolutely have to push for a fight.
Can be a bit of an awkward spot as well, depending on how long that exchange actually takes. I mean, we know time to elimination can definitely be detrimental when you're looking to try and position yourself strongly for that late game action. Threats and Trashy, definitely a pretty big hiccup in their plan. Threat's gonna be forced to try and play for the reboot here. But when you're so much later to zone than everybody else, you have to expect that you are likely going to get held just outside of that edge of zone. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for what they're currently facing throughout the duration of lobby number 2 here. Meanwhile, Ackerman and Edgy, they've got a little bit of damage above that surge threshold, but not enough for them to truly feel comfortable just yet.
Back on over to Iamzo and Tayson as things continue to progress for the worse here. More damage, starting to gap themselves from the other duos here. Out comes the Nitro. They have to make a move. The decision's being called out. Fight the duo underneath them. We'll find out if this is the right move here shortly. Zoox and Bacon back against the wall also need this as well, so both sides very much getting exactly what they need. The solution is right in front of them, but can you step up to the task? Zoox and Bacon are in for a monumental one, as I would never want to fight against Tayson, let alone paired up with Iamzo on the same region. One down. Will it be the second? They found what they needed to get the damage in. They ease up the gas pedal here shortly, but I'm not sure if that's the right move, as Iamzo plays defensively there. Tayson gets punished again. That's the second tag now for him.
Bacon is really holding his own on this right side peak. Tayson and Iamzo, it's like you can tell they just want to get this over with, but they're both just losing so much shield for it. A decent amount of their heals having been forcibly expended now. And Bacon, he's actually able to slink on by. But at the same time, even though he was able to hold it down for himself, MDF, I'm not sure that this really left him in a position where he can truly try and make a move for placement. He's doing everything he can to just even catch up to the zone, but he's got nothing to work with here.
Yeah, it's over. He's below the surge. Zone eating him alive right now. Shots are coming in from Tayson and Iamzo. I'm not sure if they did enough tag with enough time for them to get the elimination credit, but neither here nor there. Still 96 above. Rotate in front of them. They have a lot to work with. Meanwhile, plenty of other action happening here as teams are trying to get themselves to a new spot. Peterbot, who's in a very much prime position here, looking towards the backside of zone. You can see finds themselves Chubbs and Skittles on the rotate from the outskirts here. And that jumps them up into the 3 elimination tier, which is very good.
Way up above. Rotate by Miro and Pink. Claimed a box for the time being, but the Nuka-Cola, that is a valuable resource that Miro is going to end up losing here. Box fight taking place. Tayson and Iamzo, they definitely didn't have the loot that they were hoping for after that exchange at Shipwreck Shallows, and now Miro Pink getting all the benefits because of it. One elimination pickup here onto Tayson means that Iamzo is going to be forced to try and play for placements from this point on. And when you're working as a solo MDF in this kind of situation where you're having to move up some slight elevation as well, very difficult to not find yourself getting lobby focused in the process.
Yeah, I agree. Getting yourself in a good spot so you don't get focused out is, you know, part of the game here. And with this high elevation starting to take place right now, Clix and Vino are going to be one of the first to go in and position themselves on this slight lip of the cliff, but the zone pulls ever so further towards the east here. One of the only ones here on the southern portion, though. Shouldn't be too much of a difficult rotate if they move here shortly. goes N-Pen, on goes Clicks, and now Vino and Clicks find themselves at the very, very end here. The last team to move now. They weren't punished, and it works out.
Little bush for coverage as well. Dignitas, boys caught in the crossfires here. Cooper, Kanata trying to do what they can, but they've got a clean knock now onto Paco. That's going to be an easy finish for the full elimination credit. Kanata's rocking too, but we did see Paco manage to escape at the last minute there. So Cooper actually going to make sure that Vorteca can't actually go any further. Excuse me, but still a really nice double elimination finish there for Kanata, and Cooper is going to ensure that they're going to be in a much better loot situation and builds. And they're going to need the material more than anything, because this south zone pulling over Mount Olympus can be vicious with the elevation changes.
Yeah, this is a huge swing in their favor right now. Not only, of course, for the points right now, but they were desperately close to being below the surge, so 2 eliminations at least gives them a little more room to work with. Meanwhile, we look away to follow some action, and Peterbot just catches wind of more teams in his vicinity, and Pump is going to be one of the first to fall. Likely followed up by others, as he is just adding air to the fire on the other side, really stoking the flames there for other teams. But what do we have here? We have Aviv and Bugha on the move right now. 4 eliminations, much bigger game for them this time around, as they're making up for lost time from the previous game so far.
Hard not to be paranoid at this point as well. You never know when a team is going to Flowberry Fizz. Crashpad Jr. straight on top of your current location, like what we saw take place just now for Miro and Pink, but they were definitely wary. They caught wind. They know Bugha and Aviv are trying to challenge them currently. A little bit of box fight action taking place, but doesn't seem to be netting any end results that Bugha and Aviv are after. Almost seems as though they might look to resume this exchange a little bit later on, maybe as this next zone pool takes place. But Kanata and Cooper, one more time, still staying strong in their current position. And they might be able to take advantage of Oliver OG and Craze, who seem to be a little bit preoccupied, but trying to take some peeks towards some of those teams more located on the low ground.
Here we are in the final stretch now as we jump into the top 20. Big placement points are going to be earned here for every elimination that falls thereafter. Let's see it. Vino and Clicks also in the end game right now is the first showing that we've seen from them. Dominant qualifier performances, however, a slow start here on the semi-stage. Can they make up for it? This is their time here and now. We know that they've been very much likely securing those forecast towers. They have the data, they have the insight that they need downloaded and ready, and they put it to best use. Let's see it. Peterbot, 4 eliminations right now. This time we're watching it live in the flesh here. Taking apart Tyler. Eyes set on the prize here, but they skip past him onto the front side of zone. We're seeing almost a new strategy out of Peterbot and Boyo. Instead of playing so recklessly, it's almost like they've decided to reel it in and really play for the championship title here as they're trying to gear up for the grand finals.
Peterbot may be understanding that they need a refresh for their material count before they want to fully challenge that high ground position, and they may have just found it. Boyo and Peterbot, the Nitro Splash coming out, and the way they were looking up, have to expect it's only a matter of time before they actually head to the high ground themselves. All the while, Kanata doing what he can to just cling on a little bit longer, wants every single placement that he can find, just hoping maybe he can pull away with something fantastic, but it's going to be difficult from that solo position.
You saw from the camera shot there, that really gives you a perspective of what's going on here. We're hovering up and over this mountain and then down the valley. Very difficult terrain to progress through. This is why the crash pads are so critical right here and now. But Baka and Pars officially find themselves a little too high, and just as I'm calling it out, they get targeted out, but luckily they won't be taking any fall damage. They were very much prepared for what was to come, and they're starting to run out of material up top. Meanwhile, Vino and Clicks, for some reason, under the focus of the mid-ground and high-ground teams here, they have to decide whether or not they want to make the commitment, but instead, Rapid makes a decision for them, takes Vino, puts him into the deep end, and finishes the deal there. Clicks now left by himself here, but still a top 10 here, one step closer to more and more placement points that they desperately needed.
Venom just was not expecting Rapid to be hunched up in that secondary height box by himself. Peterbot even going to be able to take full advantage, pick off Rapid the moment that he tries to go for Venom's body for that refresh. But at the same time, again, Peterbot as a solo lost Poyo along the way. So the high ground control, this might actually play very favorably currently if Baka and Pars can continue to hold on to it, because everyone else's material count so low. Clicks a singular build left to his name, make that none, trying to use these pre-existing builds to his advantage, but he is running every which way, and there's bodies behind every single one of these walls. He can't break through. Miro with the final shutdown onto Clicks.
That's all right, you saw him make the edit there. He was trying to catch him in. Kanata, also one of the few left on the front side of zone by himself. Baka jumps in and finds Booga, and it is just chaos unfolding right now. Shots being exchanged everywhere. Baka very much hurt, barely holding on at this time here in the game. Is there anything else from his teammate? I'm not too sure, but what's left of the teams in the game here are all very much damaged. Brycx and Boltz are extremely hurt. And on high ground, you have Miro in the mid layer, out of mats here, so he's forced to go down. And then you have Baka right above all of this, waiting to seize the moment. Miro puts a little bit of a distraction in, the mats come down, but is that enough to give Brycx and company the chance? Here it is. Baka jumps down, and in the end, Boltz and Brycx do it. They pull through. 5 elims in a Victory Royale sends them straight to the grand finals.
And the timing just could not have been any better, because every single one of those players had absolutely zero white heals to work with. MDF, it was exclusively down to who could survive those final moments the best. And duos typically going to shape up a little bit better than the solo, but have to respect Baka and Pars for maintaining the high ground as well as they did for so long.
Yeah, take a look at those final moments one more time from Boltz's perspective. Bryce's look. They go up, they target the high ground, they take down Miro, and then break the builds. And it was only a matter of time there. It was still a very valiant effort, right? Everyone was extremely damaged. One step in the storm and you would fall, but Boltz and Brycx do it again, and they pick up the win here on the FNCS stage and send themselves to grand finals for game number 2. So an excellent performance there, Taco. We expect nothing less from our pro players. So with that, give us a short minute and we'll be right back.